Welcome on in to Sports Memo Today, and we're doing a special edition, a Just the Picks Thursday edition. We got some time constraints for my guys, Matt Josephs and Eric Pauly, so what are we going to do? It's a benefit to you. You get all the plays in half the time. 20 minutes or less is what I'm aiming for, so start the clock. You see on the side, I got Matt Josephs. I got Eric Pauly joining me on the show here today, and I couldn't be more excited about it. It's my Thursday crew. I do have to, as I welcome in my guy, Matt Joseph, say our resounding streak of our teams always winning when we're together, Matt, came to a bit of an end with the Phillies. However, our Eagles are doing just fine. How's it going, Matt? Thanks for coming on, brother.
Doing well. Our Flyers are apparently better than we thought, and the Sixers won their first game of the season because no one was paying attention before earlier this week. So that's a good start for the city of Philadelphia. But always happy to be here and hand out hopefully some winners to the watchers.
Yeah, and Joel Embiid, always good for some great quotes. He said, we won our first game of the season. It didn't matter when the Phillies were playing, and now it matters, and now they're winning. So hard to disagree with that, Matt. So I alluded to we're doing some Just the Picks edition. So no more filibusters, no more holding up. Let's get right into it. Talk a little college basketball. I know you're pumped that college basketball is back, something that you always dive in deep, and it's a great sport to kind of expose early on in the season when maybe you know about some private practices that have gone on, or maybe you know about some different roster changes that aren't being accounted for in the line. Well, we have a nail biter tonight, Matt, between Charleston Southern and Ohio State. The Buckeyes just a modest 26.5-point favorite, but you could care less about the spread. You're looking towards the total. How are we betting this one, tipping around 6:30 this evening?
Yeah, I'm looking at the over in this game, over 142. If you look at Ohio State's first game, they played with some pace. They beat up the opponent. They went over this 142. And if you look at Charleston Southern, it's a team that wants to play with some pace. And they've got some shooters, some decent size as well. And if you notice, every game last year when they took a step up in competition, their defense was bad, but the numbers were very high. So I was kind of surprised to see the 142. If you look on the Sports Memo odds page, you'll see some 142.5. There's even a 143 in Caesars. So at least it's slightly going in my favor. I think tonight we're going to see something like an 84-62 type of game going over in the Charleston Southern Ohio State game, 142 points for me.
An early over here in some college basketball action. Let's talk some Sunday NFL. Also, if people want to get your thoughts on the whole NFL slate and props, they can, of course, tune in to Prop It Up each and every Friday morning on the Wager Talk TV YouTube channel, 10 a.m. Eastern Time. We got the Niners coming off a bye. We got the Chargers coming off arguably a lucky win against Atlanta. It was definitely closer than maybe some people expected, but really, in this one, the question for you in this prop market is rest versus rust. That bye week for the Niners, are they coming in well-rested and ready to roll in the first half, or a little bit of rust to shake off? How are you betting them early in that game?
Yeah, it's kind of taking a look at something that I like to do occasionally and look at first half point totals. And you're always looking for the key numbers. And it's really, 9.5, 13.5, 16.5, whatever it is, depending upon the team. And we're getting the magic number of 13.5 for the San Francisco 49ers here. Really, it's a team that has had that bye week, as you said, to go and figure out what they want to do with Christian McCaffrey, to go and figure out what they want to do with Deebo Samuel if he's healthy. Presumably, he will be ready for this one. And I think with a bunch of time to prepare and a Chargers defense that's been ravaged by injuries, that's making the, short road trip out to San Francisco for this one. It's Sunday Night Football. Kyle Shanahan's going to have all sorts of plays set up for this one. San Francisco's been a pretty good first half scoring team so far this season. The Chargers have been a poor first half defense, so let's take advantage of it. Over 13.5 points in the first half for the San Francisco 49ers. I think they're going to figure out what to do with that McCaffrey guy and have him be successful in this offense.
Yeah, if you can't figure out to do what with Christian McCaffrey, well, then I guess you're the Carolina Panthers. So, Matt, what do you have up for this evening? If people head over to your page, sm.buzz/MJ, what are they going to find over there? You have anything loaded for this weekend card already, too?
So I got one prop for tonight. It's going to be a bleep show, so I really didn't want to get very much involved. So there's one prop up in there for the all-access customers. And then, college football will be up starting tomorrow. Having a great season, 72, 46, and 4. Second most profitable on the website this season. Most profitable over the last 3 years, hitting over 60% winners in college football. So those will start going up tomorrow. And then, of course, the NFL props. Had a bad weekend, the props last week, but we will bounce back certainly in this one. And as you said, you can find it at sportsmemo.com.
That's Matt Josephs, and yes, whenever coming off a weekend that maybe was a bit lackluster, I argue that's when you want to play on these guys. It's bounce back season for our guy Matt Josephs, and if you want to, as Steve Merrill would always say, diversify that portfolio, Matt does it for you with the props, college basketball. I mean, the nickname Mid-Major Matt tells you everything you need to know about where he's sniping off the boards here. He's Matt Josephs. Again, check him out, sm.buzz/MJ. So we go from Matt Josephs to our other Thursday recurring guest. Eric Pauly is in the house. EP, what is going on, my man? How you been since we last talked, brother?
Been doing well, coming off a nice 3-0 NFL weekend, so looking to build upon that momentum. And I think part of the good luck starts about when I talk about some of my plays on this show with you. So I think we're going to carry that momentum over into this weekend.
I love it. When we're aligned, Pauly, it's a good thing. Just ask the great folks at the Westgate Superbook. They don't like it when they see us chopping up in the room because they know could be some bets you got to be paying out there to us. So I'll always be looking forward to when we're getting back there. Leather chairs, nice and comfy, good food behind over there at the Westgate, and winners with my guy Eric Pauly. So let's talk one of these plays that you were talking about early on in the week. And I always find it interesting when we do our Thursday show because you really start your handicapping on Sunday night. You're already getting into some of these plays, looking at maybe where the line moves, doing a little bit of prognosticating of if the line will move with you, against you. One of the plays that you kind of ISO'd in on early on was the Bears taking on Detroit. This Detroit team, arguably off one of their biggest win in years, taking down the hapless Packers. The Bears, they come off a loss to the Dolphins that EP kind of felt like a little bit of a win. Like Justin Fields looked good. So that momentum carry in against one of these, to say lackluster defenses, is hardly scratching the surface on what the Lions have. How are you betting this Bears and Detroit game as the line has kind of moved against what you were looking at earlier in the week?
Yeah, no, so I'm all over the Chicago Bears minus the 2.5. I see a bunch of 2.5s to minus 115s right now. There's no 2.5 minus 110 at a book that I personally can bet on at this current moment. So I'm going to wait to see if I can get a minus 110 or even like a points bet to do that minus 107 here and there. Keep it up for a very short period of time to be able to capitalize on that. But no, I'm all in on the Bears. It will be an official play when I get that minus 110 or better odds in my favor. But looking at this matchup, like you said, the Detroit Lions are coming off basically a Super Bowl victory last week at beating Aaron Rodgers and the Packers at home. That was very uncharacteristic of Rodgers. He had those 2 red zone turnovers, which ended up being the storyline. And then you add that fact that the Lions won that football game. Like, that is what everybody honed in on. But the fact of the matter is, if Rodgers converts at least one of those 2 goal line turnovers into touchdowns, we may be looking at that game completely differently. Now, the Detroit Lions came out this season looking like offensive juggernauts, putting up 30-plus points a game to really start the season. But a lot of those games were in domes, and then they went and played the Patriots, got shut out. The Cowboys in the dome again, but didn't do well. Had another couple of games against Miami. Of course, they put up the 27 points, but all in the first half. So this is an offense that now does not have T.J. Hawkinson. T.J. Chark's been hurt. Amon St. Brown's clearly not 100%. DeAndre Swift's clearly not 100%. Josh Reynolds is out. So this is a team that, yes, they had this great offense to start the season. They're not the same football team by any means. Looking at the Chicago Bears, I mean, they, of course, traded away 2 of their premier defensive players. They're certainly not in win-now mode, but what mode they are in is letting Justin Fields cook. So now Justin Fields clearly has issues as a passer in the National Football League. However, he is a top-tier, one-of-one elite athlete that's going to give anybody problems. He will be the best athlete on the field on Sunday morning or Sunday afternoon during this matchup. I think that the Lions, of course, divisional game, they know each other well, that they are clearly headed in the wrong direction. And apparently, obviously, they're not a great team in the first place, but they're looking like one of the worst teams in football, while the Bears have done a good job adjusting to Justin Fields' strengths and playing some solid football. Of course, again, that defense is not great. Offense has not been great until they've kind of let Fields run loose. Playing outside in Chicago, I think, of course, benefits the Bears and is going to be tough for Goff, who, if you go back to his Rams days, has struggled playing in the cold, in the wind, and out on grass. So I think 2.5 points is a perfect spot to lay with the home favorite Chicago Bears to win this football game and cover that 2.5 points.
Yeah, the Bears fans finally have something to cheer about as their team is coming home, and it hasn't been like those spots have been coming very often. So, Eric, one thing that you and I both love doing too are these NFL teasers. Especially as the season going on, and these lines start getting more and more sharp. You would say, oh, you want the lines to get sharper? When you're moving at 6 points in either direction, you do want the lines to be a little bit sharper, because then you're getting value around some of these key numbers. If you're moving through off 7, through 3, this is really what we're looking for in these advantage teasers. And you have a free one, a little 2-legger, minus 120 action. Some of our listeners might even be able to still find those rogue minus 110 teasers. But how are you going to be betting this one? I believe you got a leg in this Chargers-San Francisco game we heard Matt talking about earlier, and in the horrible head coaching bowl between the Colts and the Raiders, you have a leg in that as well. How are we betting these teasers, EP?
Yeah, certainly. And I want to preface this by saying, if any of our listeners do have an out with minus 110, please give me that referral. I'd love to work with them.
Yeah, me too. Let us know. Hop in the comments below. Let us know where we can get those 110 teasers.
Yeah, I would love nothing more than that. But yeah, I'm looking at a 2-team teaser, 6 points, consisting of the San Francisco 49ers, minus 1.5 points, or minus 1 if you get the 7. If a teaser that you have pushes a loss. So, having the 1 and 1.5 there's no difference there. So I got a 7.5, not complaining at all, because the book I have, the teasers at minus 120, a push is a loss. So again, indifferent with the 1.5, as well as the Las Vegas Raiders, teasing them down to a straight PK. And I'll start with the 49ers in my analysis on why I think that winning the game by 2 or more points is very likely. And this has to do with the fact that the Los Angeles Chargers will be without Mike Williams again and probably Keenan Allen. And we saw how much of a struggle it was for them to even move the football and score points against the Atlanta Falcons, who have one of the worst secondaries in the entire National Football League. Now having to go against a revamped San Francisco 49ers team that is looking well rested, that should be getting Deebo Samuel back on offense, maybe even Jason Verrett and Dre Greenlaw back on defense. So Herbert, without his top 2 weapons on the outside, does not inspire as much confidence. Himself, with some of the offensive line injuries, he seems to get rushed off his spot more. Does not look like the Justin Herbert we know. I'm not saying, he's lost any of his talent or anything like that. The guy is still absolutely electric and elite. It's just what's going on around him is not so great. Then on the defensive side of the ball, the Los Angeles Chargers allow rush yards like it's like they're giving away candy. They allow the opposing rushers to get through big gaps and get around 5+ yards per clip. Now you have the 49ers, who of course are run first with Christian McCaffrey. And I just don't see how the Los Angeles Chargers are going to, 1, generate enough offense, or 2, put enough pressure on Garoppolo and the 49ers offense. So I certainly like the San Francisco 49ers at home to win this football game by at least 2 points. And moving over to the next game, the Las Vegas Raiders taking on the Indianapolis Colts. Something I do want to point out, and now we're seeing a little bit of movement in that game, actually some 5.5, some 5s, which I'm not sure if I should be now happy that I was able to tease it down to a PK, or maybe I'm missing something here, but time will tell and we will find out. But I saw that video surface of Jeff Saturday, people actually praising him. He came in saying, we'll see what happens over these next 8 weeks. Like, I know what I'm capable of. I know what I know about football. And I'm not discrediting that whatsoever. I'm sure Jeff Saturday knows a lot more about the ins and outs of football than, the vast majority of the public. I just don't know how this locker room is taking this news. And I just feel like their psyche this whole basically change can just not be good for the people in the building. So now we are seeing this line kind of come down. I'm not sure if that's just the books trying to react, or if there is sharp money now coming in on the Indianapolis Colts. But while I would never feel comfortable at this current moment laying 6 with the Raiders, I think that the Saturday hire, as well as the Parks Frazier hire as their offensive coordinator, a 30-year-old who has never called plays in the NFL, I just do not know how that is a recipe for success. The Raiders defense, of course, isn't great, but it's not like the Colts and Sam Ellinger have a great offense humming themselves. Renfro and Waller have hit the IR for the Raiders, but they've been banged up for the entire season. So it's not as if this team now has to adjust to playing without them. They've been doing it all season long for the most part. So I just think that given the situation in Indianapolis, given that the locker room is certainly in dismay, and yes, that defense is still good, that their psyche probably won't be there. If this team comes out and plays hard for Jeff Saturday, I'll eat my words and take a loss moving forward. But there seems to be some organizational issues really coming in with the Colts. And given the two guys now that are running the show on offense, which have the biggest struggles, again, Jeff Saturday and Parks Frazier, I don't know how these guys have never coached in college or the NFL are going to come into an NFL game and press the right buttons, manage the game correctly, make the right reads, and call the right plays to beat another NFL team that, while they have struggled, is still, talented, somewhat talented across their roster. So I think taking at home the Raiders at a PK in the teaser is a valuable leg. Again, now the market is moving, so we shall see if I am, reading this incorrectly or if I, have one on the market in this game. But it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. But again, San Francisco -1.5. Pair it with the Raiders PK. That's a 2-team teaser I took that is up on Sports Memo and will be part of my Sunday all access package like I do every single week.
Giving you a free all access play here, and this move is head scratching to me, EP, because I'm looking at the Wager Talk live odds screen, and I always like looking at some of these sharper books. We talked about the Westgate. We talked about, Circa. Another one that I like tracking as well is the South Point. Really respect Chris Andrews and his risk room that they have over there. So it looks like it was around 2:13 Eastern time that Westgate went all the way down to 4.5 for the Raiders. So I initially thought, okay, maybe some of this money is exactly like what you were alluding to. Darren Waller getting moved to the IR, Hunter Renfro moved to the IR. But to your point, it's not like those guys have been contributors. The big four players that they've had have only played for 43 snaps the entire year. So I don't know. This is definitely a line move to track. Maybe reach out to Teddy Covers, the tracker of all things line moves, see what he thinks about this one, because I too kind of thought like this was the Raiders' side. Because sure, McDaniels doesn't seem like the greatest head coach in the NFL, but Jeff Saturday, how about a 3-7 coaching career, a 3-7 record in his coaching career, and that was in high school football, Eric. So yeah. I don't know if either of these coaches are winning Coach of the Year, So,
of course, you got to respect the betting market undoubtedly at all times. But this is something that is just making literally no sense to me. Like I see the 4.5.
And if you guys think you have an opinion on what's going on, hop in the comments below, because money coming in heavy on Indianapolis with really not much change in the lineups for really either of these teams. So we'll see, EP. That's what live shows are all about, that as we're on air, lines changing in real time. Let people know what you have up. You alluded to that card you have up, and also tell people about your show you do with our friend Moneyline Matt that they can find each and every week.
Yeah, of course. So again, I have this teaser up as a 2% play. I need to put it up in package form. All access clients have it already, but I will put it out for the rest of the world to take a look at. And again, I always package every single bet that I have on Sunday in one spot. So it's not as if, you need to just buy the 5% or buy the 3% or whatnot, all in one place at one time. So this is one of the official plays. The second I see a Bears -110 on that 2.5, that'll be one of the plays, even though -115 at 2.5 is better bet than taking like -3 even at even odds. So there is still value in some 2.5 so that I could bet right now, but I still would like to pay as little juice as possible for obvious reasons. So going to keep monitoring that until one pops up. But Matt and I, Moneyline Matt and I, have a show called the Bettor's Almanac Podcast. It is an audio and visual podcast on the Bettor's Almanac YouTube channel, as well as on the Sports Memo Podcast channel you can find on iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, as well as Spotify. And it's basically a show where Matt and I, we pick out some games that we love. We discuss some underdogs we think are going to win the game. We, of course, debate games. Like, for example, today, he likes the Lions this week, and I told him he's crazy. We had a great conversation about that. But a show that airs every Thursday around noon. We record Thursday mornings. And again, discussing our favorite plays of the game, all the way from live underdogs to teaser options to player props, as well as everything in between. So definitely recommend you taking that out. Again, you can find it on Sports Memo Podcast and the Bettor's Almanac YouTube channel. Free plays, free game, free insights, and just great banter. So highly recommend it. And I think Matt and I do a great job with it, and we have an absolute blast every time we record it.
And I can co-sign that one for my guy, Eric Pauly. It's a great listen every week, and you're fans of the show, you can reach out to them. You can, they're always doing giveaways and things like that, so well worth checking out. That was my guy, Eric Pauly. You can check him out, sm.buzz/EP. I told you 20 minutes or less. We went just over, but I blame that crazy line move because we had to break that down, going from 6 this morning all the way down to 4.5 favorites in that Las Vegas Indianapolis game. Is the line justified? I guess we'll have to find out. That's why they play the games, and that's why we do the shows. That's going to do it for us. Huge thanks to Matt Josephs. Huge thanks to my guy, Eric Pauly, as well. We'll be back Tuesday right here on Sports Memo Today.